Okay, we are back with you. We are setting one of the two final sessions, but it was worth waiting for them because they will be pretty hot and interesting, especially for every one of you who is involved in the professional sports, professional league organizations, federations, because we will bring the insights from people who are making this sport happen and people who know everything about professional sport. For this session, I'll be joined by Piotr Należyty, Vice President of PGNiG Superliga, so top Polish handball league, and Mr. Krzysztof Piernicki, Head of Analytics and Insight of Quantum Consultancy. I'm sorry, did I make a mistake? If so, please, Krzysztof, correct me.
All good, all good.
Okay, perfect. I will do a short introduction and we will start. So why did we allow ourselves to invite these two pretty busy gentlemen to be with us for this session? Basically, we all noted that professional sports are now more and more connected to the data. Of course, the data, sports data, basically was always present, but it was kept in a very closed worlds of the coaches and players. So basically it was used to evaluate their performances, to make their decisions about the scouting, for example, to sign someone, to release someone, to give someone a spot in the team over someone because the numbers were better or worse. But for a very long time, it was not available for the fans at all. At some stage, people started to understand that, okay, the data is something that the people look for. And basically, you can tell the story of sport with the data much better because the sports without the data doesn't make a full picture. The full picture only comes when you bring the meaning to the sport, which is not actually so easy to understand for people if you don't bring the data. Let's use, for example, football / soccer. Everyone, or almost everyone, is in two teams. So Messi or Ronaldo, or now it is Haaland versus Mbappe. And everyone is looking at their numbers when they are in touch with, in possession of ball. So, for example, about the goals made, assists made. But most of people do not realize that even such players are not in possession for 95% of the game. So they have a ball for 2 maximum minutes of the game. 88 minutes they do something on the pitch without the ball, and the magic happens somehow. And the story is told by the numbers that are delivered mainly to the coaches, but also now to the fans. And some leagues which are ahead of the others, and some organizations which understood it faster, started to be successful thanks with the use of this data. Since both Krzysztof Kopielnicki and Piotr Należyty were involved in this process, and they were the pioneers of this process in Europe and in Poland, we have no better representatives to speak to than someone who is the practitioner of this process and someone who made it start in our region. So I will allow myself to start with a question that will be actually to both of you, Krzysztof and Piotr, but I will stay with Krzysztof. The question would be, if you can tell our listeners how the sports data is now used within the area of professional sports organizations, especially if we speak about outside the coaching staff. So what are the other sources of the use of the sports data?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to join this panel. And I wanted to say hello to everyone who is listening to us at the moment. Yeah, I think it's a good question. And to be honest, since my last, 10, 15 years of my sort of professional career in sports industry have been focused on roles which have a lot to do with data in general, not just sports data. I'll probably start with a general comment because it still puzzles me that we are getting sort of incredibly sophisticated as an industry in terms of using statistics and analytics to improve sports performance. But as an industry, we still largely ignore the wider importance of data in driving commercial growth. And of course, there are so many data points that every single sports organization can collect, and so many ways in which this sort of data collection and monitoring can be used to gain a competitive edge. After all, data is essential whenever we talk about, say, accountability, so have we met our KPIs, have we achieved our objectives, benchmarking, so how do we compare with other sports organizations, with other leagues, federations, clubs, strategy development, so what shall we focus on, what our priorities should be, commercial insights, of course. We gather a lot of data to drive our commercial growth, as I said, or at least should be doing that, and of course encourage new media and sponsorship investments, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of, a wide variety of data points that we could collect and use to build a better marketing product. But now, the stats, the sports data, sports analytics that we do, this is the application of that data, obviously, to improve the sports performance is just one side to it. The other one is how we can use this data as an important marketing asset that will help us keep fans engaged, that will help us create a go-to resource for the media, that will help us to produce content. And these opportunities are not fully exploited. I could probably talk for hours about each of these, but let's take content as an example. We've all heard the phrase "content is king." It's certainly been overused over the last 10 or 15 years. So sorry for bringing this up again. But what sort of this phrase made us all realize is how important content is. So as sports organizations, we focus on creating a lot of content, but we stopped producing quality content. And what is quality content is for brands, for example, for your sponsors? It's only not going to be your advertising boards. On most occasions, it's not going to be a post-match video from a press conference or a player interview. It's not going to be a random photo gallery. You need to look beyond that, and this is where the data can help. Today, I'm speaking as the head of insights and analytics for Quantum Consultancy, but I've got sort of like a few clients across different parts of the business, and one of them is the Polish second football division, which is also a client of Statscore, and the title sponsor of that league is a betting company. One interesting thing that the league is doing with Statscore is that ahead of each match day, the league publishes a preview of games of the upcoming fixtures, which is prepared by the Statscore analysts. And what that preview gives us is a lot of facts and figures about the games, which will happen over the weekend. And those facts and figures are linked to the odds provided by the betting partner. I think it's a really great example of using, Statscore data, but also sports data in general, to do something interesting with your partners. Because an example of that would be, for example, the analysis reads that the home side and away side score less than a goal per match on average. And this is why there is a strong likelihood that the game will end in a goalless draw. Here's the odds from our betting partner, and here's the link to the website where you can place a bet on this, that there's going to be a goalless draw in this match. So again, a great way to drive traffic to your partner's website to help them build or grow their business. And obviously, at the end of the day, just simply increase the value of your sponsorship. So yeah, this is just one of the examples, but I don't want to cover everything because I'm sure that Piotr has a lot to add as well.
Hello, everyone. It's a big pleasure to me to be here. Before answering the question, please let me say a few words about the PGNiG Superliga, because it's important who we are and where we are, because we are not a football, we are a handball league, of course, top league in Poland. We generally manage PGNiG Superliga men's and women's. It's the highest division of handball, as I said, and about some figures, our matches are watched by about 5 million TV viewers per year, 35,000 fans per season at the gyms, of course, not during the coronavirus. And 22,000 media publications worth about 100 million zloty. It's about 2,500 million euro. And this is about our organization. And what's very important for us from generally 3 years, we cooperated with Statscore for, I think, 4 or 5 years, but generally from 3 years, we've been investing heavily at digital solutions, and which has led an increase of various marketing indicators from several dozens to several 100%. And I mean, it's TV viewers, unique users, media value, media publications, and generally statistics we use in many digital projects which is important for us to improve the PGNiG Superliga men's and women. And of course, despite these features which I said, we have many projects and challenges that we would like to implement to coming years. But about the question which Kuba said, statistics and generally the data is very important for us generally in 3 ways. As I said in the beginning, we invest heavily in digital solutions and including statistics too. Firstly, of course, Kuba said that it's not the topic of this conversation, but in my opinion, it's very important too. It's generally the training statistics important from coaches' point of view, analysis of performance, training, and our coaches use it from game by game, and generally it's very important this side for us too. But to another places where we use this statistic, and it's very important, it's marketing sites and third sales. Generally, today it's important to enable fans to be close to the sporting events, not like before. Now it's important to be in real time, not only watching the game on television, but to check how it looked like in the numbers, the figures. It's very important to be near to the fans. We generally use the statistics, for example, in our websites, in TV broadcastings. In April, we'll launch our new mobile applications, and it will be connected with statistics, with Statscore statistics. And generally, we create some story. We would like to create some story of the games to show how it looked like in figures. For example, who has the most assists, goalkeeper savers, percentage of effectiveness of shots, goals from 6 meters and 9 meters. It's very important in these days because young people would like to has not only the game, not only the broadcasting, but many digital solutions, and it's important for them to be near to the sports event. From the third side, it's a selling, it's a sales, because we are looking for new opportunities to generate incomes for the league. And as Krzysztof said, it's connecting with generally betting companies, that the betting companies looking for more information, more solutions to be in real time, and to give fans more information to have to organize possibilities to have more fun, more options, or more data to fun with betting companies. And for us, it's of course a place to generate new incomes, and this is very important. And during next 3 years, we hope and we have planned to improve this part very, very fast, and give company more solutions. Of course, in Poland, many companies use, for example, Live Match Pro, Pre-Match Pro, etc. But we have many things to do in these sites too.
Thank you very much, Krzysztof, Piotr. Especially thank you, Piotr, for the nice example, because what you did with starting your presentation was exactly what we are talking about. So you brought lots of numbers, and ladies and gentlemen, nothing tells the story better than the numbers, and every story is better with the numbers. Just imagine Snow White and the dwarfs. Oh, boring. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Why 7? And you are getting involved because it's building some interest. Numbers are pretty important everywhere, and that tells the story. But definitely, as Krzysztof said, what is very important is now it is not a problem to get lots of data and lots of content. The thing is to get the quality content and to use it properly. So my next question will be to Krzysztof about. Let's focus about the use of the sports data, especially for the fan engagement, and what areas of using the stats and sports stats wisely for fan engagement you see, which are now used and which are to be used in the future, maybe not so explored right now in the world of sport.
Yeah, I think that if we go back 10, 15, 20 years ago, the fans who would take a deep dive into post-match statistics were seen as data geeks. Today, this is changing. So there is a lot of fans, probably even most fans, are hungry for real-time data, behind-the-scenes information, and this is what the stats can provide as well. This is why the data has become key to engaging fans. I mean, if you love football, if you love handball or basketball, sometimes all you need to be entertained is a good game. With the right intensity, with two teams that are really vying for the win, that have the right mindset and mentality. But as we all know, even if we are fans, there are some games that are simply not that interesting, and our focus sort of starts drifting away. Or you know, when that happens, or when, for example, we are simply looking for a better viewing experience, this is where the stats can help. I like a lot what Bundesliga is doing with Amazon Web Services. I would encourage everyone to take a look at that sort of case study. For example, in terms of integrating statistics into match broadcasts, I think it's done in a really smart, innovative, non-invasive way. But not only this partnership, not only does it create a better match day and viewing experience for the fans, its ultimate goal will be to provide personal content for fans, for them to be able to understand the game better, but also predict the outcome of future games just based on historical stats and historical data. Of course, this is not the only application of statistics. They can be applied basically across every single marketing function in a way. So they can be used on a daily basis in your social media communication. Then they can be an important part of your sort of storytelling, building a story about your brand, your sports brand. You can create fun trivia, games, quizzes with statistics as well. Or if you have a lot of fans, if you can finance that, you can create an augmented reality experience with statistics, like our friends across the pond do. But you know, that being said, I would probably want to highlight a couple of pitfalls that we should be looking to avoid in this sort of drive to embed statistics in everything we do. Firstly, you know, we cannot let it happen that we're gonna sort of inundate people's social media feeds with statistics, that we're gonna present every single data point that we can. Data needs to be presented with context and with meaning. Otherwise, when the data is provided without context, then it's simply going to be useless, or it can be easily misinterpreted. So this one, something important that we need to keep in mind. There are a lot of applications of statistics, but you need to be really, really smart about it. And the second thing, you know, let's not overcomplicate it. It needs to be presented in a really simple, straightforward way. When a fan is looking at data visualization, for example, they need to understand straight away what you're trying to tell them. I think this is what you guys at Statscore do really well. So, of course, you're pushing us as sports leagues to use data more, to integrate it, embed it in sort of different feeds, make them part of our marketing activities. But it's done in a really smart way. So yeah, I think as an industry, we've come a long way in terms of using data to engage fans, but the journey is far from over. And I think with companies like yours, it can be far more exciting.
Well, we are also excited to join every sports leagues because definitely either we work with so many other areas, we understand that everything starts with sports leagues, and basically the more we can create together and better, the more everyone can benefit from it. So every other part of the industry relies on sport. So this is so important, as you said. One more thing that I would like to elaborate on what Piotr already said is it is not so easy for a professional league in a country when you have to compete with the other leagues, especially like Piotr said, even PGG Superliga is the top tier of handball league. They have to struggle and they have to compete with football, which is the sport #1 in Poland. They have to compete with volleyball. At some stage, volleyball, thanks to the national team's successes, was pretty popular in this country. So it's not like you have your origin market, you have still to win the fans' attention because they are getting so disturbed with so other sports. So there are so other uses of sports data that Piotr already mentioned, and I would like to ask you, Piotr, about the further steps you would like to make if it comes to the fan engagement. So what are your other ideas, like let's say fantasy leagues, fantasy competition that you can do with the sports data to make people even more connected to Superliga and to win some new fans?
I would like to say that we have to compete not only with another sports, but with Netflix, with gyms and many activities. It's possible to do it now without the pandemic. But about fan engagement, in my opinion, is generally the trend that will continue and develop and enter in a higher level in the future. As I said, it's important to organize more activities for fans, and we see many possibilities to do it with many products. In our case, we are planning a number of activities in this area, and many of them will be based on the use of statistics, and there are many possibilities. As Kuba said, fantasy manager, that we would like to organize some fantasy manager. It's something like that, where fans have a virtual budget by virtual players, and the players collect points based on competition in real matches. What's the most important? It happens automatically because we have every statistics, every data, and we could show the fans, and we could prepare only the communication way. During 2 or 3 years, we have planned to organize some, quizzes, choosing a player of the matches. And if fan could choose player of the match, they could look how the players play, how many points they have during these games, etc., etc. Generally, we could evaluate the players' performance by fans and predictor games. For example, we would like to organize some predictor games, and it's the same situation. Before the game, we could ask our fans what the results of the game will be, and show not only the previous results, but we could show much more, many details of these games. And it's important to to be near to the fans and to has more attention of the fans. And in my opinion, it's a future. It's a future connecting the real time. It's a digital connecting with the matches real time, using the statistics and fan engagement. And from my side, it's one of the big challenge to organize it in very good way. And meeting you or another person in 2-3 years and says how it look like now in our league, and I hope it will be totally different than now. And we are currently working on numerous solutions in this area, as I said before.
Thank you very much, Piotr. Gentlemen, we are shortly coming to the moment when we have to conclude this session. And before I give you a chance to have the final statements. If I think about the summary of what we have already discussed, there is like one main phrase that comes to my mind, and this would be something that you both said, maybe in different ways, but the what would be context. So basically, what we now need most is to give the context to the data, whether this is like a story built around the data, whether this is a product built around the data, but there has to be a context. A good example of it is a couple of years ago, one of the top Polish pundits about soccer / football brought an info. Kamil Glik is having 95% of successful passes. Wow, what a great number. And out of the context, it sounds really great. But if you know the context, if someone provide the context, so you know that for central back, having less than 95% of successful passes means there is a problem. And this is a really, really terrible sort of defender because he's not supposed to make passes that are unsuccessful. So still, sports data is something that needs experts to build something on it. So with either products to build stories about it. But the word I would like to conclude with is context. Is this something you agree on, or would like to take our attention to another area? Krzysztof?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. When I was thinking about this panel, one example that I wanted to bring up is one particular statistic that we are completely obsessed with in Poland, and that's distance covered, at least in football, right? So, you sometimes get an impression that it's more important than the actual scoreline, a distance covered by our players, by our team, especially when you're on the losing side, is the perfect explanation of what happened on the pitch. Why did we lose the game? Because our players covered less distance than the rival team. So it suddenly became really popular, and the media are using it, and the fans are using it, but it's pretty pointless and meaningless if it's without the context. So yeah, absolutely. But why is that? Why is that the fact? Why are the fans using that? Because we, as sports marketeers, decided to highlight this particular figure over many other data points that could be far more telling and far more important. So in a way, it's our fault. It's not the fans, it's not media, it's us. So we need to have a really good think about what's really valuable whenever we are planning to integrate sports statistics into our messaging or broadcasting. What is really going to be important to say to the fans to make them excited about the upcoming match day? What is going to be of interest to the media? How can we explain the game better to attract new fans? And finally, how can we turn sports statistics into a marketable commodity, something that we can sell to sponsors and brands? So again, we just need to think strategically about it, like about every other activity we are planning within our organization. It's not about supplying people with data. It's about thinking how data can support us in our sort of daily operations and whenever we are planning marketing or sponsorship activities.
Thank you very much, Krzysztof. Piotr, your final statement regarding this one?
Could you repeat the question, because I don't hear the question very well?
I'm sorry. Basically, it was not a question. Rather, what I was asking for is, since we are closing the session, is there any final statement you would like to make in regards to what Krzysztof said, in what you were saying before?
Generally, in my opinion, it's what I said during the question before, that the fan engagement and the statistic is very important for the future. It's very important now, and in my opinion, it's necessary to our fans, in every sports. And what could I say more? I think I said everything before, and I don't know what I'd like to say more. Not the same like I said during the two questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Piotr.
Thank you very much.
Krzysztof, Piotr, I would like to thank you. It was a pleasure to have a chance to speak with you, to listen to you and to listen from your insights. Ladies and gentlemen, we had Krzysztof Kropivnicki and Piotr Należyty speaking to us about the insight of the users of sports data in the professional sports organization. So imagine that the time of these two gentlemen is really pretty important they spent this time with us. So big thanks to both of them. Thank you for being with us. And